three types of ADHD. What are the three types of ADHD? So there's what I like to call the dreamer, predominantly inattentive type, Tigger, the predominantly hyperactive and impulsive. And then there's a nice mix, which is the combined, which is what I am. So the inattentive type or the dreamer previously would have been known as ADD in the past, but now it all falls under the same ADHD umbrella. And it's when you think about someone who may not be fidgeting as much, like they can sit in their chair, but their mind is a bit hyperactive. So they're thinking about other things while they're trying to pay attention to the teacher or in a meeting, anything like that. Some challenges that we can face as inattentive is following instructions. That's a big one. Concentrating on tasks or following conversations, especially in a busy coffee shop. Remaining interested in activities is also a big thing. So hobby hopping can be really common amongst the inattentive and combined types. And the losing stuff, oh my gosh, yes. Organizing, planning, sequencing. So any task that involves those things can be super hard. Starting and or finishing tasks, usually often both. Remembering appointments or information, even stuff we really want to remember, can be super hard. So some of our strengths, though, is that we're often creative, imaginative, we can think outside the box, we can problem solve, and have a tendency to hyperfocus, which can be a bit of a superpower. The hyperactive, impulsive type predominant is kind of like a firecracker, or I like to call a Tigger. So boundless energy, the more typical ADHD presentation that people would have kind of known about back in the day. So not being able to sit still, running around, that kind of thing. Some of our challenges include accidentally interrupting people when we shouldn't, unless they're also ADHDers, and then we can just have like a fun, unfiltered interrupt conversation and lots of side quests, which is super fun. Speaking our minds, even when that might not be the best for us. So maybe speaking our minds in a meeting when maybe it's not our place, or feeling restless in a meeting or a school, or just in any sort of situation where we're supposed to sit down and have dinner or lunch or something, but we really want to move around. Being perceived as participating in risky behavior. So this is something that I always like to clarify, because everybody's risk tolerance is super different, and that's okay. But often people do perceive us as doing risky things. So for myself, like mountain biking, but it's super amazing. So organizing, planning, sequencing, also a challenge for the hyperactive, impulsive type as well. And same with remembering appointments, information, and those kinds of things too. Some of our strengths are often people with the hyperactive and inattentive type can be adventurous, curious, creative, athletic, and think outside the box. So sometimes we might bump into stuff all the time because of how ADHD works in the brain, but we can also be extreme athletes, which is super cool. So the combined is the most common, and it's just a good mix of the two other types. So the inattentive and impulsive hyperactive. So it just means that we can have challenges in all of those previous ways that I talked about. For anyone with ADHD, and particularly challenge like the combined type, we might also experience anxiety and or depression and or sensory processing challenges. So we might have some sensory sensitivities. Not everyone with ADHD has those, but we it might happen. We might have challenges with self-esteem or self-worth, especially if we were a late diagnosis. ADHD or like myself, self-worth and self-love can be a challenge because we've just been told to do things differently, or why are you doing things like that? Or can you just sit still? Or why can't you just listen? Why can't you just remember? Why? And not knowing the reasons can be really challenge, like really hard and hard to understand. So that can lead to challenges with self-love and then also the anxiety, depression, all those things. But understanding ourselves and accepting ourselves can help with that a lot. We might have challenges believing we can accomplish things, especially as undiagnosed ADHDers without any strategies, or even diagnosed ADHDers without strategies. Things are just super hard when we don't know the little tricks on how to be productive. We might fall into thought traps of black and white thinking and perfectionism. Both are a bit of a challenge for myself, even perfectionism for sure. I want everything to be absolutely freaking perfect. Black and white thinking is kind of that concrete, yes, no, if it's not this, then it's that. And so it can be a little bit rigid, which can be challenging when we're interacting with other folks in relationships, and also in terms of that kind of thinking we can't do something. It's like, oh, yeah, it's just, becomes a bit rigid. We can also experience really strong emotions or rejection sensitivity dysphoria. So really strong emotions. Emotions can just flutter ADHD brain and make us just feel everything so strongly. And there's reasons for all of this that we explain in our brain modules, but rejection sensitivity is when we perceive any sort of criticism, whether it's meant to be constructive or just meant to kind of make us do something in a different way. We might perceive that as super strongly. We might become defensive. This can be challenging in work and relationships if we don't really understand it. And again, often it makes a lot of sense, especially if we've been undiagnosed for a really long time and we've just been told that we're doing things wrong all the time, which is not the case. We're just doing things differently to help our brains. Some of the strengths of people with ADHD and the combined type is often we are humble, kind, empathetic, have a good sense of humor, and a strong sense of justice. So what do you think your type is? It's nice to know, just so you can kind of be aware of what might be challenging and why, and then how to tackle it, knowing those.